everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we've got so much to discuss. Could we see Cardano ADA crash 50% in 2026? Something that's being bandied around like it's no man's business. But not only that, there's some key signals that indicate that altcoin season or Cardano ADA season is about to begin. There's so much to unpack. If you enjoy this sort of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Let's waste no time. Let's get to it. Let's go. So we're going to start here then. Cardano ADA price coils below 290 day pattern as bulls and bears lock horns. So what a fantastic headline that is. Bulls and bears lock horns. I really do quite like that. You can't imagine how much I read every day, and you know, it does get a bit tiresome reading some of the normal headlines. So this one was a little bit different. I quite like it. Let me know your thoughts. Cardano ADA trades inside a descending parallel channel. Cardano has completed a long-term correction structure. Can Cardano reach new highs this cycle, or is the bullish trend done? And look, I want to confirm my thoughts, my opinions alongside what we're reading in the news, because ultimately I think social media is the new form of news media, right? And it's the place to go to get the best kind of views and opinions. I think everybody, and you can let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, seem very fed up with mainstream media, and ultimately places like YouTube, Twitter are becoming more and more prevalent, and I kind of want to take that kind of approach with this channel, right? But let's get into the article. Cardano ADA has been stuck in a descending channel for months, leaving traders wondering whether the trend is still bullish. Now, I kind of mentioned this a few times on the channel, but I do go into far more detail about economics, what's going on in the real world, right, in our free Discord, link in the description of the video. Join us there. You're missing out if you're not there. But like I talk about like our forecast, where we believe things are going, and ultimately we've forecast for well over 8 months now a Fed interest rate reduction September, right? That is literally on the cusp of happening tomorrow. We've also called, in August, we called September would be bullish for the first 2 weeks, volatile for the second 2 weeks. And I think we are seeing that, right? We showed that with bubbles, very like visual way to look at the market yesterday, and obviously it was a sea of red. So yeah, look, we've been forecasting impeccably for a long time, about 24 to 28 months of pure accuracy when it comes to what we're putting out, when it comes to economics, what we're likely to see, and where we are today, right? And obviously, not all past predictions are, guarantees of future predictions. Don't get me wrong. Actually, I kind of say the opposite. I kind of believe if you've been so accurate in the past, there's a chance or a window where probability states that you're actually going to have some either calls inaccurate, right? So no guarantees in crypto is kind of what I'm poorly trying to articulate. But what is being articulated in this analysis really is that we're in this descending channel, and it's normally really bullish. You normally break out of these, so it's going to be interesting, right? Previous times this happened, the signal led to 170% and a 315% move to the upside. Like, again, past performance doesn't indicate or guarantee future performance, but it is very interesting. And Cardano's relative strength index, the RSI, crossed the 50, while the moving average, the MACD, crossed 0. So very interesting stuff. We do want to look at all of this. We do want to take it with a pinch of salt at the same time, but there's a lot of reasons to be very, very bullish on crypto and Cardano ADA, right? Like there just is, in my humble opinion. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. Treat this as entertainment purposes only. Do your own research. Never invest more than you're willing to lose, because you do risk losing all of your money. Nothing is guaranteed in crypto, right? And yeah, I'm not a financial advisor. I need to be really clear on that. So do your own research. But I've been forecasting volatility. Potential big pullbacks as well is on the horizon. Obviously, as they're trying to price in the interest rate cuts, we do normally see volatility when this happens. But I do believe, and it's just my opinion, nothing's guaranteed, but I do anticipate the biggest bull run in crypto history, and Cardano will very much be a part of that, in my humble opinion. Cardano price prediction: ADA structure highlights $1.15 and $1.25 as the next key targets. Again, just really interesting analysis. A lot of people saying very similar things. Things are starting to line up, and I talk a lot about, because I'm a fundamental, guy, right? I do fundamental analysis. I do economics. I look at, where we're heading, what roles blockchain could play in a future world. Whereas Nick, my brother, he does technical analysis. We make a phenomenal team. When you combine both of those, you normally get a really good outcome. And I guess what I'm hinting at is the technicals, the fundamentals, the commits, everything, they're all coming together very, very nicely, in my humble opinion. And as I mentioned, you normally get something really quite special when that happens, right? And I think we're close to that. So Cardano price prediction: Cardano ADA holders could see 50% drops to their investment in 2026. Here's the latest. So this is all around, the downside risks when it comes to cryptocurrency investing. Market watchers are divided on whether ADA heads, on where it heads next. Bulls highlight Cardano's staking model, growing developer community and DeFi ecosystem. Yet even optimistic Cardano price models warn of volatility. I think that's the same for all cryptocurrencies, to be honest with you. If usage growth slows, ADA could struggle to maintain support above $1, with the projections pointing back at 70-cent to 80-cent range. Essentially a 40 to 50% correction from potential peaks. So what I do want to say, my forecast when it comes to economics, to cryptocurrency, to generational level opportunities in the future, are all in our Discord, right? We talk about this with members and so on. But the forecast for me is that we're going to go into this really big bull run. Obviously, we need to see whether this prediction comes to reality or not. It is just a prediction. It's not a guarantee, right? But going into 2026 bull run, 2027, 2028 could be massive recessions, massive recessions. And with recessions, if you're positioned well, can be really big life-changing opportunities. We're not talking about short term. We're not talking about hype. We're talking about really understanding what is happening in our world, where we live, right? And I encourage people to, educate yourselves on economics, educate yourself on investing, educate yourself, surround yourself with like-minded individuals, and you do that by joining the free Discord. At least you start doing that by joining the free Discord. Cardano news, we got analyst says rally could just be starting. Again, this is us talking about very similar things. People talking about $5, people talking about $7, people talking about $10 Cardano ADA. There's many different price points, targets that we need to hit before you get anywhere near those numbers. We've talked about $1, $1.15, $1 26, $1.30. These are all numbers you've got to hit. Will we see a new all-time high? Let me know in the comments below. I think we will. I think it's going to be, for me, $5 seems very realistic. $7 is blue sky. $10 is out of this world. Borderline, is it possible? Is the question that I ask myself. But again, interested to get your views and opinions. Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson endorses Ethereum's new privacy initiative in meme. So again, just really interesting. The Cardano founder, Charles Hoskinson, expresses support for Ethereum's newly unveiled privacy roadmap. Ethereum's privacy steward of Ethereum initiative aims to improve privacy through tools like private transactions or transfers and confidential voting. Ethereum Foundation plans to develop solutions for private identity using zero knowledge proofs. Charles Hoskinson shared a meme on X signaling his approval of Ethereum's privacy efforts, and it's kind of just there, you can see it on the screen. But you know, this is the one thing, right? Like, Charles is a pioneer. What he's doing is pioneering the future of blockchain, right? I think it's massively underappreciated. This is just my honest views. Like, I've met several big founders. I haven't, you know, spent any time with, you know, the any of the co-founders apart from Charles when it comes to Ethereum. But you know, like Vitalik, I haven't spent any time talking with him. But I have spent much time talking with very senior people within blockchain, right? Very prominent people. I think, to be honest, there's two really big pioneers in blockchain for me. Like, I mean, really big pioneers. And like, Charles is one of them. And the reason why I say Charles is one of them ahead of many others, and it's just an opinion, I'd be like loving to get your views and opinions on this, is purely because you've got Midnight, right? There's many examples of this. I'll just give you a couple, right? So you've got Midnight, so a compliant privacy layer. All of a sudden, all these blockchains are talking about compliant privacy. They're all implementing their compliant privacy. Now, at the same time, I talked to the head of the Solana Foundation before Midnight obviously was actually like going live and having the airdrop and everything. And I asked about privacy, and it just wasn't well thought out. I'm not surprised to see Solana and a few other blockchains, you know, working with Midnight. That is not a surprise to me. I talked about it with our community in our closed group at the time. I was shocked at the lack of thought when it comes to the blockchain and what is required. Like, if you want, you know, medical records on chain, you want business, banks, you've got to have compliant privacy, and that just hadn't been thought out, particularly from Solana and the Solana Foundation at the time. So not surprised to see that. But you know, Ethereum are doing it now. Like, others are doing it now. Others are partnering with Midnight and doing it now. This is pioneering, right? This is changing the future outcome of what blockchain will be in the real world, right? Another example, right? Proof of stake, right? Like POS, consensus mechanism. Like, Cardano went down that route. Ethereum have moved over. So who's the pioneer? Like, I've just got to put it out there, because I don't think there's any recollection or anyone talking about it. Like, there's something to be said for it, and I think I'm probably one of, if not the only one, that's actually highlighting this. You know, the other person would be like Dr. 𝗗𝗀𝗀𝗄 with AI. I think hugely pioneering in the space when it comes to blockchain and artificial superintelligence, AI and AGI. Robotics as well, I think is going to be huge. So like, I think these people, like two very, very prominent people, and I'm not like, I don't give a rat's ass about like the people that are raving about Bitcoin and have been right about Bitcoin. They made a prediction, they went with it, they made a lot of money through Bitcoin. They're very prominent because they've built businesses around Bitcoin. Like, that's not pioneering. Bitcoin was there, they're living off of it, right? Whereas when you're building something and you're adding something that is very fundamental to I guess the end goal, or you know, that end goal being achieved, like, that is completely different. That is pioneering in my eyes. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Like, you know, you might resonate with me and what I'm saying, you might not, but ultimately I'm for getting behind people that are pioneering. I'm all about, you know, being the first at doing things in the real world. Like, we're building, you know, world's first tech ourselves. You know, we've got a fantastic team, and you know, like, you should want to be around. You should want to be surrounding yourself with these people. Like, you know, like I say, I talked with Dr. 𝗗𝗀𝗀𝗄. I've talked with Charles. I've talked with from Aptos. I've talked with the founders and of Harmony One. I've talked to the founder of VeChain. I've talked to all these people, prominent people, and it's a whole list of people I haven't mentioned. I've talked with people from Hedera Hashgraph, like the list goes on, right? I've talked to a lot of people in this blockchain. I surround myself with the best people in this space. Like this is something that has been a real big goal of mine, and you learn so much doing that, right? And I'd like to see some recognition for some of these individuals in the space. I'd like to see positive headlines about some of the things these people are doing in the space, because I don't see Ethereum getting the same level of nonsense articles as, say, Cardano does or XRP does, and so on. So I want to see people do better. I want to see better articles. I want to see recognition where recognition is due and should be shown. And let me know if there's anybody you think should be on that list alongside Charles Hoskinson and Dr. Ben 𝗗𝗀𝗀. Cardano price prediction: can ADA reach $3.50 with Voltaire era and whale buying? So look, I think $3.50, just my opinion, is inevitable for Cardano ADA in this bull market. It's done it before, and like I want to kind of position why I believe this, right? Why I have this opinion that I have, right? Ask yourself, is Cardano better now than when it reached its $3 plus, whatever its all-time high was? I can't remember off the top of my head. We'll have a look in a moment. But is it better now than it was then? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that there's still lots of work that needs to be done. I think you've got to be honest with yourself. But access to Bitcoin liquidity, big change, big improvement. Compliant privacy, once it's live, massive. Scalability solution, massive. There's just so much that's changed and improved since it was last at its all-time high. Obviously it doesn't guarantee anything, but for me, like, it's a better investment. It's like the earlier you are, the more risk there is. Like that's kind of how I see it. Like, it's just my opinion. You can let me know whether you agree or disagree. And when we look at the market, we're up 0.13% at $4.02 trillion. Again, I explained it was going to be volatile, not just to the downside, but also small pumps and then big dumps. I think we're going to see this for the next few days. Bitcoin 115,693.90, and Cardano 87.06, up 1.38%. If we actually have a look here, see if we can find the data. The all-time high was $3.10. Do I think we're going to surpass that this cycle? I do, and it's going to be exciting to watch whether that is another accurate prediction or it's not an accurate prediction. Obviously, take all the predictions that I make with a pinch of salt. They are just examples, they are just opinions, nothing's guaranteed. It's very risky investing in crypto. So I just want to be really quite clear with everybody. I want these videos to be educational. They're not financial advice. I want them to be videos that people watch, listen to, and go away and see whether what I'm saying is factually accurate or not, and make their opinions based on their own research. And I want everybody to do well, is kind of what I'm poorly trying to articulate, right? I'm not always right about everything, but I spend every day, all day in blockchain, and a lot of people have a 9-to-5 job, which I know isn't really 9 to 5, it's just a job, and it's probably 24 hours these days, depending on where you are in the world, particularly in the West. You haven't got the same amount of time as me to invest in reading, researching, educating yourselves. So I want to lighten the load a little bit, and we do a lot more in the free Discord. Thanks for watching, take care, I'll catch you in the next one.